So abusers have a pattern, and the pattern is they look for those that are vulnerable. Abusers don't approach those that know their onions. Abusers have a pattern of looking for those that are vulnerable. Now, vulnerability in so many aspects. Abuse is not something that happens overnight. Abusers have a pattern of making the abused feel comfortable with them before they strike. So in other words, somebody needs a phone, an abuser can buy you a phone, an iPhone. An abuser can buy you a laptop. An abuser can borrow you a car, give you a car. And then you feel like, oh, I'm obliged. So the patterns of abuse is that an abuser does not just take someone overnight and say, sleep, I want to have sex with you. No. An abuser can start by touching you inappropriately to look at what your response is going to look like. And so then you are smiling and you are saying, stop it. Then an abuser says, he continues to see what your reaction will look like. So if you have a firm reaction to say, if you try this again, there's going to be a problem, an abuser says that, no, this is a no-go area. But if you are smiling and considering that this is my helper, how then can I go about this? I don't want to shout too much, even though I still want to correct him. Then the abuser, what all an abuser needs is just a little space to operate, not the whole space to operate, a little space to operate. So as it relates to abuse, you begin to see the signs from words, from actions, from reactions, derogatory comments, making derogatory comments about your physique, about your body, making comments about your breast, making comments, saucy and sassy comments. An abuser will begin to say those things and begin to look for your reactions and begin to say those things again and again and again to you, as such that when you now begin to get comfortable, that's what he does, that's how he speaks, then it graduates into touching you anyhow, trying to make remarks that are not okay with you. You begin to see the signs because before you see wonders, you will see signs. But if you are not careful, you will have seen wonders before you see signs. So because at times the signs are silent and you ignore. So but for abuse, there are certain things that you will notice. You will notice that this person, there's a way he reacts when there's no one with you people. Then in the midst of people, he coordinates himself. He cannot say those things that he says to you when you are alone in the presence of people. So you begin to notice that, oh no, so there is a two-faced relationship here, and then you just have to. So if you enable an abuser, abuse continues. But if you don't enable an abuser, if you stand your ground and say, I'm sorry, I don't want this, please kindly respect yourself, and then he's going to stop, and then you also need to move, like the scripture makes us understand, we should flee. It didn't say we should wait, it didn't say we should check. So you must flee, as in run. So that is it. So when such things are seen, you begin to know that there's an abuse. And there are times that there's never any time the abuse is comfortable in the presence of the abuser. They are always uncomfortable, even though they can't speak. As a psychologist, you can read, you can see. And then when you dig further and ask questions, you'll be able to see that, oh, there's an element of abuse going on here, because the person abusing you can be a father figure, can be a prominent spiritual father, can be a father of faith, as such that if care is not taken, before you can accuse such a person of abuse, you must have a strong legal team. Because even the church members will not believe you. Even the intercessory people will not believe you. So who is going to believe you here now that this fire-branded minister bringing out fire from the mouth is abusing you? So it takes a lot of effort at times to uncover an abuser that is a chameleon, that is covered in another regalia and is still an abuser. So, but these signs are there. So by the time you begin to speak to people and confide in people, you can be able to help yourself, because one of the ways you can, move out of abuse is speaking out. Yes. Once you begin to speak out, the strength of an abuser is in silence. So once you begin to speak out, one way or the other, I can't help you, but I know someone I can recommend to you. Yes. I know someone I can tell. 1, 2, 3 people are coming together. Abuse is coming to an end. There are times people commit suicide that we don't know the reason behind the suicide. So can I say that no threat should be taken lightly, as long as it involves threat to life. Don't take someone that tells you, I will kill you, and I'll make sure I kill you, and then the person comes back tomorrow to say, I was only joking. Don't take it lightly. Either you start praying and then start making moves, or then you visit a guy and then he wants to have his way, and then you say no, and then he says, I can kill you, and then next week you are coming back again. Eventually, if he does not kill you, he will stab you. So one of the things we need to know is that when there is a threat, anything that has to do with a threat, you must not take it lightly. You must look at the elements of that threat and report it to the appropriate authority as soon as possible. So if somebody is abusing you, and underage, for instance, or even if you are within age, that's an offense in the first place. Now, threat to life itself is something that is not taken lightly, so you must immediately inform law enforcement agencies, ask for protection, write a statement, then begin to do away with any encounter that would have you and that person in the same space. Avoid anything, then follow, they can tell you that this person don't go to his house again, cut off all communication, block him on all of your social media, because there's no communication you are having with somebody that is threatening you. So you must know these things, because there are people that may be watching this podcast that are in that situation where somebody will tell you that you go to someone's house, he takes carnal knowledge of you, then he tells you that if you tell anyone, he's going to kill you. So you are living with that fear that I can't tell anyone because he says he wants to kill me. So you are living with that fear. I'm telling you that there are ways where such a person can be apprehended without putting you in danger. Just speak to the right people, the right authorities, report this case officially, because the tool of an abuser as such is that they continue to use that advantage that he's had undue influence over you once. He says he will kill you too. So every time he calls upon you again for you to be abused, you must avail yourself, because he has a tool of death in his hand. So an abuser that has recorded an intimate moment between somebody that has been abused will continue to use such clips to threaten the person and make the person come. So until you take the bull by the horn and say, you know what, this abuse has to stop, and report to the appropriate authority, it won't stop. And eventually, that's why I started with saying that there are people who commit suicide because unfortunately we can't ask someone who is dead what killed him.
Yes.
So they may get to a stage where they are tired and say, you know what, I'm tired of this continuous threat. I'd rather kill myself than to live. So this platform is the right platform.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Prophet Gandonu Gabriel. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring our request to be on this podcast with us. So today we want to look at the legal rights of a girl child, but we're looking at it from a believer's perspective. We know that we've had series of people talk about, sensitizations about legal rights of girl child and all that. But now we're bringing it down into a believer's perspective, for the body of Christ, believers to understand and know what their rights for their child, for members who are teenagers just growing up and all that, for them to know their legal rights, to know when this thing happens, when molestation happens, when sexual abuse happens, what they can do, and not, I used to say, over spiritualize things, not just feel that let's sweep it under the carpet. And we know that incidents like this happen in the church, happens in the midst of believers. How do we undo it? How do we make that justice is served, and also that a girl child can know that, okay, when this thing is happening, this is where I can go to, this is where I should go to. Even though we are educating them about, we are developing them spiritually, we are not also ignoring that aspect of their life, that they know that this is what I should do, this is what I can do in this kind of situation. So that is why we have our prophet in the house. He has a background in the legal aspect, and also is also a believer. So I know the balance is there, so you'll be able to hear from his own perspective. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Pleasure is mine. It's good to be here.
Yes, sir. So I know that you've seen and had different kind of stories about abuse and all that. So I want to ask that, do you think many believers understand their fundamental rights, to be able to also even help a girl child to understand what their legal right is? So.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I think for me, one of the things that you have said that is very, very germane for us to look into is that as much as we read the scriptures, as much as we believe in God, we must also know the basics of the law, the basics, the provisions of our rights. Because he who does not even know his rights does not know he has a right.
Yes, very true.
So believers, in the first instance, must, acquaint themselves with basic laws of the land, basic rights and privileges of a citizen of a country. So knowing that, backed up with the scripture, helps you when issues arises, to be able to, make your way around those issues and then get a solution.
Very true, sir. We know a lot of young girls have gone through abuse. In fact, girls in the church.
Okay.
The girl child in the church, because we've had instances of us we go to churches for sensitization to educate girls about the dangers of early pregnancy and all that, and we have cases where girls will come and confide in us that this is what is even happening, not has happened. I'm going through this molestation, I'm going through, this person is doing this person is doing that. So can you just share with us a bit of the fundamental rights of a girl child that the girl child should at least know that he has?
Okay, thank you very much. As it relates to the fundamental rights of a girl child, there are laws for places, part-time, and as it relates to the Child Rights Act, the provisions of the Child Rights Act, gives us a way to say if this offense has been committed, then this is going to be the punishment or the penalty. So from the chapter 4 of the Child Rights Act, you'll be able to see certain provisions given to a girl child, not just a girl child alone, as to abuses. Now, so we have the Special Offences, Sexual Offences Act also, and then for the South we have the criminal law, and then for the North we have the penal code. So it depends on where you are situated. And but generally, the girl child, we have what we call NAPTIP. And their duties goes beyond human trafficking, of sexual offenses. And for that, in fact, the simplest way I can put it is that there's a website, there's a hotline that everyone can just access.
So I'm very sorry if I would just stop you there. You speaking now means that these things are everywhere for everybody to access. It's not hidden. Everybody knowing their fundamental human rights, a girl child understanding our fundamental human rights is not hidden under the rock. It is everywhere, because you just spoke about websites that they could actually go to the website to go and learn and understand. So I want to also speak that it means that we are not doing, we just, because sometimes when I was just looking at this topic personally, I was like, it feels like Christians, we box ourselves to just like, okay, I'm a believer, I follow Jesus Christ, and that is all. We are not really enjoying or partaking into what it means to live on earth. And part of what it means is to understand the law that governs where you are staying. Absolutely. What's your own contribution to the community? What protects me as a person? Because we're also looking at, even though it's a girl child, you just have to just touch on that, because I just feel that we don't really know that these things are available. That is why we have a lot of cases of a husband beating the wife, and the wife won't know what to do or where to run to or know, she understanding her own rights to actually fight back. That not when I say fight back, I don't mean
no physical fight.
Of course, like where to go to get help. So it means that these informations are scattered everywhere. It's just that we are not aware of, or what would I say, we are just being one-sided.
So I'd say that what you are doing is part of the sensitization. Because this will transcend now. Generations would have access to this. And because the lack of education at times is not about those that don't go to school alone. Because you can go to school and not still be educated.
Very true.
So the rights of a girl child the right to education, the right to religion, the right against discrimination, quite a number of rights for the girl child. While I was, trying to picture something, I wrote something down here that in Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria has the largest number of, children brides in Africa, with more than 23 million girls, who were married as,
Very true.
underage,
yes,
that later grew to women, 23 million. So that means that for those people at that time, one way or the other, something must have led to them, getting married, forgetting that there are rights that are available to them.
Yes.
Now, how then do we assess such information if we do not even have the common internet to access this information? Because for this podcast we're having now is just going to those that have access to internet, those that can browse, those that have access to maybe Android or whatever phone to check information up. Another part of what you are doing now is now to engage and have outreaches to those places where we do not have connections by mobile phones or whatever. So what you don't know, you don't know.
True.
And if you have a knowledge of something, it helps. I want to give kudos to the Lagos State government because this particular issue is of interest to them, and you discover that the attention the government is paying to this in terms of publicity, in terms of outreaches, is giving us more knowledge as to the issue that we have at hand.
Yes.
So I think that as believers, what we need to do more is to upscale the sensitization game to say every girl child in the church must be educated, not just education alone, must have knowledge of their rights, even from the children ministry.
Yes,
and this is going to help us.
Yes, sir. So that brings me to say that you agree that church should organize sensitization programs that will educate people on, especially girl child, from teenage age, that will make them understand their legal rights amongst not just getting to hear them outside or getting to know them when they are way grown up. And because I know that for us personally, as we grew before we understood certain things, that okay, this thing that is happening to me is molestation. This thing that is happening I can actually report it to the right quarters.
Okay.
So what you said last year, you've agreed that churches should sensitize their teenagers, their girl child, about their legal rights and all. Thank you so much for that. So I want to ask that, how do church balance this? How do they balance the spiritual counseling and to know the right time that we need to take action and not just say this is spiritual and just let us do warfare and all that. How do they balance the spiritual aspect of counseling and knowing when to report a case or when to take it up legally? Like
I explained that we have the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIC, and we also have DSVA in Lagos. It's a domestic and sexual violence agency. Now, let's talk about the church. Like I said about the Child Rights Act, I said about the issue of marriage, underage marriage, and I spoke about also the issue of the criminal law, Sexual Offences Act, and quite a number of things. Now, I just want to say that the church must understand that abuse is abuse.
Abuse is abuse, yes.
So I don't think that even if there's a case now in Abuja, a pastor of a church, that defiled a 14-year-old girl and now is remanded. So the judge remanding him could be a Christian. The law is not emotional. Neither is the law spiritual.
My pastor would say that God can forgive you if you rape somebody. God can forgive you, but the law will not forgive you. You have to still face the consequences of the law. So yes,
even not just the law alone. The congregation should not forgive you because having such a person in the congregation means that such an issue is going to linger. Because, for instance, rapists they barely repent.
True.
Except if they have gone through maybe thorough rebranding, gone through a whole lot of restitution mode. But even at that, they still have to be monitored.
Yes.
So you now, if someone does that in the church, you must separate spirituality and the law and allow the law to take its course.
Yes.
Without that, you are going to encourage more rape apologists that are in the church that you don't even know about.
True.
And then it's going to continue like that. So for me, the church must be able to draw a line. You see, when you are in a church and you know what the church wants and what the church does not want, it is clear. It is crystal clear that this church will not take that. I've seen churches that would hand over criminals to the police. Like, because if you are going to arrest someone now, you cannot just barge into the church. So you have to speak to the leadership of the church and say, oh, please, we are from the force headquarters. There's somebody that attends your church, yada, yada, yada. Some can shield the person.
True.
But if you see a church that knows the impact of such, you know, that what the law says about defilement, what the law says about rape is that even if there was consent, as long as it was done with an underage, there's a punishment for it.
Yes.
So which means that either the underage says, I like you too, but the person is an underage anyways, you are still going to face the law. So from life imprisonment to, you know, depending on the manner, you know, of this case, because each case has its own peculiarities.
Yes.
So for me, I'd say that the church must just be able to have their stand. You see, anything that has to do with violence and abuse, the church, regardless of who is involved, the church must have a stand. And that stand brings me to the point that every church must have, you know, a legal unit whereby they will be able to part-time examine issues in the church, for instance, in my church, in certain capacities, I act as legal advisor to them. And there are times that we have to say, okay, no, if we go this route, then they will ask the church questions that, of course, you have lawyers in your church, so why is this happening? You know, so because the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So for me, every church should now begin to say, okay, let's look into this. Just as we have ushers, just as we have the workforce, we must also look into the area of the legal standpoint so that even if church members have issues, you know who to call in the church. Say, okay, we have a legal team lead. You know, what do you see? Or before church members will take decisions, they'll be able to come to you and say, please, can you interpret what this means to, so that I don't, you know, run into trouble at all. So the church must also, you know, make this a core duty, even as we are praying, because it's going to help us.
Very, very, very true. Very, very true. I think I buy into that idea. Is something that would help the body of Christ if we have a Lego team in the church. You know, it makes people even have confidence in, okay, I want to do this, let me speak to these people. They are believers just like me, and they will give me the right advice on what to do. So you spoke about education, about the legal right that it's even part of the legal. I think I read about it. So I was funny. I was just, when I saw it, I was just laughing. I was like, so because they said notwithstanding the financial state that should stop a girl child from going to school to be educated. But we have a lot of believers now that they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the money, but they just have children that they can't cater for. Most of them, we have, even in church, we have fathers that will say that this child, let only the male child go to school, you stay at home, go and be learning maybe hairdressing or something like that. So it means that there's a legal aspect that caters for it, that you can say that I have to go to school if I am getting it correct, because I saw that education is compulsory for a girl child. She has the legal right to go to school, and every child who bets a girl child should be able to send that kind of, or allow that child go to school. So what would you just say about that?
It's not just right to education. There's a right to free education. So, you know, education is different from saying, okay, I have the right to be educated. You see, there's a right to free education. times, seasons are changing.
Yeah.
But if you look at the story of parents, those that have grown old and all, some will tell you that I was given a scholarship to travel to XYZ. I was given a scholarship, and then you begin to wonder what's happening to those scholarships now.
No.
It's still existing, but because it has been politicized. So if you don't know somebody that knows somebody, I just read about an issue 2 days ago where someone whose ward scored a very good mark, 308 in JAMB, and then was supposed to be the number 3 on the list for medicine. All of a sudden, they did one backdoor arrangement and were offering him the ward biology. And the mother said, no, with the score of my child. Then she went to JAMB headquarters in Abuja to make an official report until they called the school directly and said, why are you people doing like this? Under 24 hours, the name came back on the portal, merit list number 3.
Imagine.
Now, it is the right of that child to that admission, to that education, by even writing the prescribed, exam.
Exams, yeah.
But again, so what you need to know is that something is your right in the country we find ourselves does not mean it will be accessible to you. So
True.
painfully, you can say you have the right to be educated, does not mean you will be educated. But we must again thank our forefathers, our fathers, because most of our parents came from very poor background, but they found one way or the other to still be educated. And then you begin to imagine that even as poor as their parents were, they took education as very, very important.
Yes.
So for now, we must also transfer such spirit to this generation to say, if you are going to give birth, make sure you are giving birth to the children you can take care of. And at least I know that till today, there's still free education in Nigeria till about school starts.
Yes.
So from primary school through secondary school, there are public schools that you can attend, because I attended a public school also, So, I mean, it's not, there's an avenue for that, but some don't even know. We're coming back from somewhere, I think 2 days ago, and somebody was saying to me that to gain there's a common entrance they do into some schools. Those schools are federal government schools, but to get in, so that shows that you want us to be. We have this right to be educated. It's our right. Then to assess this right that is ours, then it's now difficult. So we just need to still appeal to our government to look into ways, because if you go to the north, it's a different ball game entirely.
Yes,
from the south. So you will discover that it's the way we are still optimizing education here is a different ball game entirely.
Very true, sir.
So the church has a responsibility to keep doing this. That's what we want to thank some churches, scholarships, some sending people to school, but it's not just, the capacity is not enough. So we can just pray and hope that it gets better.
Still on this education, like I said earlier, there are parents that are believers.
Yeah.
Who would say that my girl child will you stay at home, my boy child go to school. So what do you think can the church now can do to such parents if they are aware of this situation? And what do you think maybe the girl child can do?
Okay, the girl child also have the right to freedom from discrimination. So there's nothing gender-based as relates to education.
Yes, sir.
And in the law, in the face of the law, there's nothing that says that the boy child should be educated up to this level, the girl child should be educated. So as long as you've given birth and you have the capacity, even if it is up to PhD level,
true.
There's a right to assess such education. So whenever you see why we are saying this as believers is that you cannot give what you don't have. Nemo that quite non habet. So if there is a leader that is not keen on education,
True.
the leader would not see whatever his or her member does,
Does that, yeah.
as against education as a crime.
True, very true.
So the leadership of wherever you find yourself determines the interest. So now if this case comes to the leader must be able to say, you know what? Every child has the right to be educated.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the girl child has a right as against discrimination. So, under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and under the, girl child has so many provisions in the Child Rights Act, and education is part of the right of a child. So, but again, it goes by to say, who is the leader? What are the interests of the leader? So that is what is going to, there are some that there are some leaders that believe that once you grow as a lady and then you are done with secondary school, you should get married and then you should be at home.
Or your husband takes over.
So you should be at home. Meanwhile, some would believe that if you are bright, they'll be the one to give you scholarship.
True.
So the influence of the church on the home is also a bit about the leadership of the church.
Okay. I think I get your standpoint where you're coming from. What you said something. You said if the leadership does not see the necessity for a girl child to go to school.
Absolutely.
Or for a girl child to have education.
Yes.
Or education in quotes in general.
Yeah.
They won't see the reason to push and say this girl must go to school.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I want to tailor this down to my next question to
Yes, ma'am.
what we do as an NGO, YMCH. We have a lot of young mothers, young girls, teenage girls who have a child already, and this is very common. There are always conflicts among between her family or her alone and the family of the guy that impregnated her, or that the guy that owns the child.
Okay.
The conflict of I want the custody of the child.
Yeah.
And this happens a lot, and a lot of times emotionally it's always draining for a mother.
Yeah.
I know that I want my child, but they want to collect it. It's different when the girl says, okay, take. I don't want to cater, but she wants to take care of her child.
Yeah.
But the family of the boy or the guy wants to collect the child.
Okay.
So what is the legal advice that you can give to such girl or the family?
Okay. I mean, as it relates to the issue of custody, we have joint custody, legal custody, we have sole custody, and we have physical custody. So the custody I've mentioned, from the joint custody, legal custody, physical custody, and sole custody, the circumstances of the union determines what custody is going to be. Okay. If it is sole custody, somebody is with the custody of the child, the other party comes visiting. Okay. The court can say you come on Monday, you come on Tuesday, you come on Wednesday. If it is joint custody, it can be with XY on Monday, be with, So if it is physical custody, if it is legal custody, neither of both parties may not even have custody of the child. So we cannot categorically say here today that this is how custody would go.
Okay.
So every case, the peculiarity of a case is going to determine if it is going to be sole custody. In fact, there are cases that immediately the judge hears, the judge says, give the woman that, Mr. Man, I don't want to see you because it's very, very visible that he's an irresponsible man. So, or you can just go and visit this person once a month and pay so amount. If failure to pay this amount every month, you are not going to see this child. So it is the law, the courts, that will be able to interpret. There are times it may not get to court. You also that there are rooms. We have created rooms for mediation.
Yes.
So if they go to the citizen mediation center, and they are able to mediate to say, oh, Mr. XYZ, what do you think should happen? And there's an agreement between both parties. It may not get to, having to go to the court. But if indeed this matter has to go to the court, then one of the parties will approach the court. One is going to be the defendant. One is going to, so, and the court is going to give a verdict looking at the case. So because the law is not an emotional thing that will say, oh, the man is crying, so we have to give him the baby. So they are going to look at the facts. So, and the facts, you see, there's something that says res ipsa loquitur, the fact speaks for itself. So it is the facts, what the fact says, that the judgment would be based upon. So in cases where there are issues with the family of the person that has given birth to, the first thing you need to do is look for the center, maybe domestic violence center in your state, mediation centers in your state. Go to the secretariat, go explain this. The reason why I'm saying you look for the domestic violence center in your state or mediation centers in your state or those that are in charge of all of these, their centers, is that some of these states have made provisions to give those complainants free legal representation. So you don't need to spend your money. There are organizations also that when you contact them, they will take up the case, represent you pro bono. So without charging you, instead of going to get a lawyer yourself, if you are going to get a lawyer, you are going to be charged. So you can now look at, you can just search up, okay, this is the case I'm having, where can I go to domestic violence center or go to citizen mediation center and say this is the issue I'm having, and they say, okay, let us transfer this case to the rights department, and then from there you will be able to look into it and say, okay, this is we are going to give you legal representation, and then the court again will now determine sole custody, joint custody, physical custody, legal custody. So it's a prerogative of the court.
We will be taking a commercial break. Stay tuned. Thank you all for sticking with us this far. Please follow us on all our social media platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook, X, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And please like, it's very important to like, share, and subscribe. And also drop your comments or question. There's a Google form link attached to our description box below. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying our conversation so far with our Prophet Gandonu Gabriel. Thank you so much for sticking with us this far, sir. I want to ask, I know before we took the commercial break, we were speaking about the right of how a young mother can actually know her right, or when it comes to custody of her child with the father of the child. So I want to ask, or I would like to just point out that we have believers that their daughter or family member got pregnant as a teenager.
Okay. And
what they do next is to say that you are ready. That's why you got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, pack your load and move to the father of the family of the guy's house.
Okay.
And we are talking about right and all that, girl child's right, and part of it is that underage marriage is abuse.
Okay.
So this is happening in the church too. So do you feel that church can take up that kind of case? Won't it look, because this is concerning family now, and is their child. They can tell you it's my child, but the child is still small. She just got pregnant. She can actually be helped to get back on her feet. But the family is standing that, okay, because she says she's pregnant, we can't be responsible for her again. She should move to, and true that a lot of things happen. The child is abused. She's used as a slave. She will stop schooling. A lot of things happen in that kind of case. So how do you think that the church can come in, or do you think that the church can come in this kind of situation to help the child?
Okay. There's a VAP Act, Violence Against Persons Act. Okay. So I spoke about the Child Rights Act. I spoke about the Criminal Code and the Penal Code. However, I'm going to, delve a bit into customary practices.
Okay.
To say that while we're growing up,
okay,
you would hear mothers, grandmas say that my husband did not ask me out. The father spoke to my father, and voila, I became his wife. So the church, in dealing with such issues, must apply wisdom.
Okay.
Because there's a right to custody of parents
Okay.
that they have naturally over their child. So the church cannot take that right from the parent if there is no tangible reason to take away that right.
What if the child comes to them?
Now, if the child comes to them, the church does not have any power than for this issue to be transferred to the appropriate authorities. So if there's an issue where a teenager is pregnant and they want that teenager to go through underage marriage, and the teenager does not have any power and approaches the church, the first thing the church is going to do, the church is still going to try mediation. Try to mediate between the teenager and her family. If that doesn't work, if the church now has the boldness, they can now refer the case to the appropriate agency in charge, depending on the state, depending on where or what country. And then if it were to be the Western world, we have social services, and
yes.
That is a different ball game. It won't take them any time.
Yes, true.
But for us here, it's either you want to talk to NAPTIP, it's either you want to talk to DSVA in Lagos State, and then they will now look into it and say no, because actually the child has a right. If the child is still a teenager, let's say the child is still under 18, you cannot force such a child into a marriage, because the law deems that person is not even ripe for a marriage. So if anything happens at that time, it could even be, associated as a rape, which can come as life imprisonment for the person. Because, like I said earlier on, that consent of an underage is not seen as consent in law.
Yes.
So if the law will hammer you, you will still be punished as though you raped or there's an offense you have committed, even though the child can say, I gave him consent. But how old are you? 15 years. You can't give consent. So if there's an issue as such, the church must apply diplomacy and see if the issues can be treated with mediation.
Okay.
Then if it doesn't, then the church cannot take laws into their hand. So you cannot say because you are a pastor of a church now, and a teenager is pregnant in the church, the parents want them to marry, and then you say, come to, where we're growing up, we used to have mission houses in the church.
Yes.
And then you say, come to mission house. If the parent of that teenager comes to the church, even though you are trying to do the right thing, they can still arrest you. And then, charge you for abduction.
Oh.
So what are you going to do? You have been charged for abduction. Now you want to bring your defense that she's pregnant and all. There's always a twist in cases that you must. That's why I said churches must have people that advise them legally. To see that, okay, somebody has brought this case. What do you think? Okay, sir, let's mediate. If not, let's hand it over to DSVA. Let's call NAPTIP. Let's call, the agencies in charge. Let them take it up officially. We cannot handle this. The responsibility of a church is not the responsibility of a law enforcement agency. So the church has to still transfer it to appropriate agencies.
So in this light too, I still want to ask that, okay, what if it means that the girl child can report herself?
Absolutely. For me, there are instances where fathers even molest children.
True.
And they tell their parent, their mother, for instance, the mother tries to kill the issue. The child goes step ahead to report to the police, to appropriate agency, or picks up a phone to call DSVA and say, please, there's something I'm going through, or call people, So, of course, if the child is educated and knows that this is my right, it's against my wish, why not? So, but again, there are times where the reason why I spoke about customary practices is because it is seen as an aberration in the customary practice to say that a child is trying to sue the father. If you were to be Yoruba, they can say that Beruni Baba, your father. But the law is the law.
It's the law. Yes.
So I'd say that by educating our children from while they are still young, into teenage years, would make them know that they have a right. They can actually walk into the police station, they can actually walk into agencies and report issues, and they will definitely be treated with utmost honor and respect, and they will get help.
Thank you so much for pointing out that you've spoken about what the church can do.
Yes,
and you even raised the importance of the church having the legal department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those who they can speak to when cases like this happen.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've also touched on that the right of the child, that the child can actually say that I don't want this and go and report and get help.
Absolutely.
And get help. Thank you so much for that. Before we leave this, and I think we're almost getting to the end of our questions, what I want to ask that, what role do you think the church can play in helping young mother, like a teenage girl who is a mother now, a young mother? How do you think a church can help them from stigmatization, from fear, from having to face life again? Something has happened that has destroyed a lot of life. So a lot of girls will not rise up again once that happened. They are condemned, or they feel they are condemned already. Okay. So how do you feel, or what do you think the church can do to actually help these girls and to get back on their feet?
Okay, so I'd say that the church can do a lot. When there is sensitization, there is enlightenment. The church must, as a starter pack, have role models, have people who are invested into the ministry of the girl child.
Okay.
So these are people that must have trained these children from time immemorial, growing up. There are children that they are maybe 5 or 6. You want to carry them on your leg, they say no.
Thank you so much, sir. I saw a video of a pastor recently, a man, and I think you spoke about, because I was going to ask you that what advice can you give parents as regards educating their children and all that.
Yeah.
And I saw this video recently, I think this week, and the pastor was saying that as a pastor that is girl child, you dare not carry, that is not, he will not be the one to say anything. It will be the child that will say that I'm not sitting down on your leg, that he now wanted to hug, as a pastor, he wanted to hug a small girl. How are you? The girl just did like this. That was like, well done. That this is what I'm also teaching my child.
Absolutely.
That I like that.
So for me, I'd just say that when you are in a vulnerable state, you are prone to shame, you are prone to fear.
Yes.
But when there is a kind of environment that is like your safe space, and that safe space, you don't build trust in a day. You don't, because you see, the abused will not open up if they don't feel safe.
Yes, true.
So the first step is the church acting as a safe space, acting as a space where they can speak to someone, having an organization of women where they must have been in that organization, say, for 5-10 years. They've been discussing about the things that affect a girl child growing into adulthood, puberty, teenage, and then they can just see that they are role models in this place, because there are times abusers don't want to be mentioned.
Yes.
So when the abused is afraid of the abuser, the abuse needs a higher authority that gives confidence. So it looks at, who can I approach in this place? Mummy Lagbaja, she looks like someone that can handle this, and then it goes to it's not when the abused goes to see someone and say, and then it contributes more to the trauma.
To the trauma, yes, sir.
So the church must create an environment, must create a place that is called a safe space. As you are growing up, you know that these are people that you can speak to. These are people in charge of marital issues. These are counselors that if you tell them anything, no soul will hear. A safe space. So once the church must be the safe place, not the church being the broadcasting place.
Yes, sir.
So if the church is not the safe space, and you know that when you bring your problems to the church, eventually the church is going to broadcast.
But sir, do you know that this particular topic, this one that we just touched on, is what has affected a lot of girls.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you kept emphasizing of safe space, because the church ought to be our safe space.
Yeah.
The church ought to be where we know that when we get to this way, we'll get solutions to our problems.
Yeah.
Not being the one to push us out, or even call people that, yeah, come and hear what is happening. So I like the fact that you said that we should have people that they can trust to speak with.
Absolutely.
That even we have people who are abused in marriage, and instead of speaking to anybody in the church, they will rather go outside and they will get wrong counsel.
Absolutely.
So the church should be a safe space. I love that.
So I think, what would Jesus do in situations as such?
The
first thing that the church must recognize is that when there are issues, deviating a bit from the legal standpoint now, when there are issues, the scripture admonishes us that if someone falls, we should be the rallying point of raising that person up.
Yes.
But the reverse is the case. If someone falls, we are the one that will call press men and organize a press conference on behalf of that person.
Yes, so true.
Which makes people eventually run away from the church even when they fall.
Yes.
Because I think the first place someone should come to when they fall is the church. So that is the difference into what Jesus has taught us. You will discover that no matter what you have done, you see, if you just see Jesus, you know that you will just tell him that this is what I have done. That's why no matter what you tell him, he will still accept you.
Yes.
So which is supposed to be the standpoint of the church, that, okay, now you are pregnant. Now what do we do? Are you now going to start announcing the church that this person is pregnant? And no, what can we now do so that this kind of teenage pregnancy will not continue to repeat itself in the church? It is because of the way we handle the previous issues. That's why we keep having repetition of issues in the church.
True, very
so
true.
When we don't handle that issue very well, it repeats itself. So the church must be able to handle issues with wisdom, with the mind of God. As one part, you are going to say, okay, what you have done is not too good. And one other part, you are going to raise them up and then see how to, help them. And that is the way to go as it stands now. And I just hope that God is going to help us.
Amen. Oh, amen. Because it's very, very important. I keep asking this question because I know that it needs to be hammered.
Yeah.
It needs to be hammered. The church needs to do better. Because speaking from experience and other people that I've heard from, the role of the church when it comes to teenage pregnancy, how they handle it is so bad. So the church, I know the church is trying, and we keep trying, and God will help us, because we are supposed to mirror Christ, like Absolutely. What you said, that what will Jesus do? We're supposed to mirror Christ. So it means in everything that happens within the church, we are supposed to mirror Christ. Thank you so much. So I want to ask that for our last question for today. What will you advise? What will your advice be for believers as regards knowing their fundamental rights, how to protect themselves and the girl child?
Okay. So before then, I'd like to quickly touch on a core point that you're about missing out, is that how do we know if a child is being abused?
True. Very true, sir.
So one of the ways to know that the child is being abused is the withdrawal syndrome. Because abusers have fear as their tool. And so what they do is to instill fear in the abused. And a child that comes back from school all lively, all happy, all of a sudden start to withdraw. You must find out why, how, what, when. You must be able to ask so many questions. But if you don't create a safe space as a parent, while we were growing up, our parents had this kind of nomadic belief that they can't even discuss sexual education with their children.
Very true.
And eventually now we are all married. And eventually now what they don't want us to know, we already know. So now the thing is, if you discover a change in behavioral pattern, you must be able to create a safe space and allow your
You're speaking as a parent now.
Yes. Allow your child to talk to you. Same thing in the church. There are times that, members of the church feel more comfortable discussing with their pastor than the parent because the pastor has created an enabling environment. So either the church or the home, how do you recognize somebody is being abused? Somebody who comes to church who is lively all of a sudden, first Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday, it's just all moody and then sees a brother is running. You need to investigate and do your due diligence, as to such issue. And so if you now say that, what advice are we going to give concerning the protection, dignity, and the future of the girl child? I would say that, permit me to say that for the father of a girl child, everybody is a suspect.
True.
So you can never overtrust someone with your girl child.
Yes, very true, absolutely.
So it means that you must at all times create this kind of barriers, create this kind of, checks and balances as against where your girl child will go. Train that girl child. For me, I used to say that there's nothing my daughter would ask me as long as I have it, and she wants it, that I won't give her, because I've grown to know that what you don't give your child, they can deceive that child outside and make that thing seem so important and give it to them and all. So for me, I believe that your girl child in the church, as a parent, must be trained in a way to understand dignity, to understand purpose, to understand what it looks like, to be the Chimamanda Adichie, what it looks like to be the Okonjo Iweala,
yes, sir.
What it looks like to be the Michelle Obama,
yes, sir.
What it looks like to be those that are applied to the genealogy of a girl child.
Yes, sir. Sure.
And then you look at these people and notice a pattern that they cannot be silenced.
They can't.
Which means that they must have been trained to be bold and audacious.
Yes, sir.
So parents must teach the girl child not to be timid and not to see herself as a procreation machine. In other words, there's more to what the girl child should do than giving birth.
Yes.
It should change from the nomenclature of saying that once you are just at the ripe age, I had someone who they brought from the north at a particular time to Lagos. And as at the time I knew her, very young lady. In fact, not a lady, it's a girl. So a few months ago, she's returned to the north, and then I heard that she's giving birth to twins. I'm not a father. I'm not a mother. But I was angry I was angry not on the behalf of the parents, because eventually I heard they were the one that married her. But I was angry. At the point I began to imagine, would she give birth through cesarean section? Would she, a whole lot of things began to run through my mind. That what nonsense? How did this happen? And I asked myself, is this your dream? But
no.
That is how we should, as parents. You must not be selfish in parenting.
Yes, sir. Very true, sir.
So while there's a general parenting that even though that person is not your child, you see things as no, you don't do that. This is what you should do. And I believe that it's going to help when you make your girl child know that anything, you can tell me anything, you can call me anytime. If you call me and I don't pick, send me a text. If it's important, I will respond to you. If you need anything, let me know. If there's anything that is happening, just speak to me about it.
Sorry, sir, because you're talking about the child being able to speak to his or her parents, because it happens to male too, not just
absolutely.
It's just because we're just looking at the girl child.
Yes, please.
It happens to male. A lot of male went through molestation and all. But there are cases I have had a lot of teenage girls say that I cannot speak to my mom, I cannot speak to my dad, not because they will not listen this time around. It's because of the way they feel that they are going to handle it. That if my mom is here like this, everywhere is going to scatter. Okay. So I feel that the child should be able to trust the capacity of the parent enough to know that if I tell this kind of sensitive thing to my mom or my dad, she's going to handle it with wisdom and not scatter everything.
That's why I said initially that there's a generic way of parenting. And that's why I also said that as we are growing up, as your children are growing up with you, let your children know the people that you trust. Let your children know the people that you honor. Let your children know the people that you respect. Let them see you do honor to people as such that they know that if I can't talk to my dad, let me go and talk to Pastor A. So the issue is that it is normal. It is normal that every child should be at times be afraid of their parents. That there are times that until I'm, eventually I made a law for my children. I say, if you tell me the truth, I will not flog you. Then they will not ask again, are you sure you are not going to flog us? If you say yes, they will not say, okay, we did it. So it meant that at that moment they knew that if they don't reiterate the promise I've made, they are not ready to tell me the truth because they don't want to be flogged. So if a girl child is not, very, very free to discuss certain things with their parents, it is about the upbringing. Because I believe that no matter what, your children should still be free to discuss things with you. However, if that is the case where your children are not able to discuss certain things with you, they should have people that they know that you trust, trusted family members. Because there are times that it is not the parents that know that the child is pregnant.
Very true.
It is maybe the uncle or the auntie. They will have finished all of those discussions. Then they will now begin to plan how they want to come and tell the parents. That's the safe space. The danger is not having your parents as your safe space alone. The danger is not having a safe space at all. Not having a safe space at all where you can run. You see, when there was a time my dad was around and, my children, they were jumping, they took his cap, they were, and I was looking at him and I was like, is this my dad? They are taking his cap, and I was like, stop that. I said, I should leave them now. And, I'm wondering that, this is something they may not be able to do with me. So which means that to an extent they see him as someone I revere, someone I honor, as someone, and because that level of parenting has changed from physical manual parenting to grandparenting. So it's different. So it is just having a safe space where you are able to share, where you are able to be vulnerable, where people can take you for who you are and they will not still judge you and they will still be able to come through for you and take care of you.
Wow. I hope you're enjoying this discussion because a lot has been said. Wow. A lot of wisdom has been shown out today, and I hope we are picking ours, we are learning from it, and we are going to take action. So I want to ask lastly before we round up this podcast for today, I want to ask, because there are cases and incidences of that happens between two members, that's molestation issues and rape issues between two members or even a member and a pastor. So in that kind of case, how do you think, or what legal action can be taken, or how can the church resolve that?
Okay, so again, we must go back to the definition of, what molestation is and what consent is, and who can give consent, because, consensual sexual intimacy is different from molestation. Because there are times that such happens even in the church between unmarried adults and but when we talk about the issue of abuse, I must be unequivocally clear that the church must have a standpoint.
True, sir. Yes.
It is not to mix words together as to who is involved. It is an abuse.
Yes.
The church must have a standpoint to say that if there's any case of abuse recorded here, if such a person is occupying any position, you are relieved of that position automatically. Investigations will be carried out, and you'll be handed over to the appropriate law enforcement agencies. Now, the reason why I said that the church must have a standpoint is that the standpoint of the church is different from the emotional standpoint of members.
Yes.
And the emotional standpoint of family. There are some that they will go back and start begging the family.
Yes.
The family can come back even when the church says they want to do it. If the church says they are charging the matter to court, and the owner of the matter says, I say I'm not going to court. What are you going to do? So the church must have a standpoint, and when such thing happens, they must, not mix emotions with anything, go straight to the standpoint and hand such issues over to the appropriate authorities for investigation, and such a person must be dealt with accordingly. However, we'll still pray for such a person because it's in the church.
Yes.
So that God should help the person to have a change of heart, and but whatever needs to be done should be done appropriately, except if both parties agree that they are going to let go. But let the church have a standpoint, because you cannot have an abuser in the Bible study unit of the teens. Because before you know it, there's going to be a lot that will be happening. So such a person is holding a position that has to do with interactions, that has to do with certain things. You must relieve such a person from that position, else the church is becoming an enabler. And you don't want to be an enabler. So the position of a man is not what we are going to look at if there's an issue of molestation. We have to look at what are the facts here, and if there are facts of molestation. Because the reason why I said, and I have to repeat, that we have to look at the facts is because there are wrong accusations also.
Very true.
So before we conclude over any matter, we must investigate thoroughly. But while investigations are going on, it is best that if both parties are occupying any position, that they step aside till investigations are concluded and you have it on record beyond reasonable doubt that there was an issue of abuse. Because there are times that there could be personal issues between people.
Yes.
And then the lady says, I'm going to deal with you. And the best way is to accuse. That's why we have some people wrongly accused in prison. It is later the case file is being reviewed and they discover that they haven't done anything. So when there's an issue of molestation reported in the church, there must be a standing committee for such issues. Refer to them. Investigate in and out. If the investigation is not to be done alone by the church members, they can also refer it to law enforcement agencies for investigation. So if investigation is concluded and it is seen that truly molestation has been, seen to occur, and then, they can now take rightful steps according to the law.
Not sweeping it under the carpet.
No, doing that encourages molesters. The church is going to be the church of molesters. So if Pastor A molests someone, sweep it under the carpet, Pastor B does it, and then church member D does it, and then you want to punish him, you have to say, what happened to the issue of the pastors? So you must have a standpoint to say that this is our stand, this is our vision, this is our mission, core values. You already know. A bylaw, there was a time that as part of those that reviewed the bylaw and administrative structure of my church, and there's a bylaw passed into law already. So you are a member of the church, you are abiding by that law.
Yes, sir.
So that if anything happens, what we need to go and look for is that, do we have the provisions of these things in the law? It's as simple as that. What does this law say? Either you are the leader in charge or whatever, you are bound by that bylaw. And at every 4 years, we review the bylaw, because in the space of 4 years, certain things will happen that we didn't capture in the first provisions. Then we'll bring amendment as amended. And it gives room for stability, it gives room for coordination, it gives room for fairness, and it gives room for us knowing what we are doing at the appropriate time.
Wow, I love this episode is full of wisdom for even girl child, the church, believers. Absolutely. All round. And I like the fact that you said the church must have a standpoint and setting aside emotions. So we are not saying this person is a pastor. We have to do the right thing and do our due diligence to be able to say that this person or this thing must be approached with all must be handled with all importance, and we must finalize and make sure that this thing is sorted and this is good. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
I've learned a lot, and I know our viewers today have also learned a lot. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
Pleasure is mine.
Sir.
Young Mothers and Child Haven Foundation is a faith-driven NGO that supports young mothers in preventing teenage pregnancy through sensitization and helping young mothers fulfill destiny despite their circumstances. We provide support through counseling, education, vocational training, childcare support, school and church outreach programs to educate teenagers of the risk of teenage pregnancy and the power of education and vocational training, providing spiritual counseling to prepare them for the bright future ahead of them. Mistakes are proof of growth, not a reason to stop. Join Young Mothers and Child Haven Foundation as we seek to bring love and hope back into the life of young mothers and teenagers. For counseling, sponsorship, or partnership, contact 091 3704 2786.